get a feel of who you are, what you guys do, starting with Sam. Take us through like the timeless opulence brand.
Well, Timeless Opulence, we make bespoke furniture. So we've got three divisions, the furniture manufacturing, the interior design, and events management and execution. We started Timeless Opulence in 2016, very small, from like the back of a garage, and it's just amazing to see how it's grown. It started from a passion of just loving design, mainly shapes, I remember in my head I just wanted a round bed and I couldn't get it. So I was like, no, there's no way that this cannot be done. It has to be done. So we have seen the brand grow over the years. We're now involved in furniture, office furniture, home, restaurant, hotels. So we just take the whole interior space from beginning conceptualization, design, to delivery and the works. So yeah, so we mainly do bespoke. That's what we are famous for. And yeah, it's just been a fun space to be in.
Okay, so I'm from Voltberg Casting Studios. We are an industrial design studio. And our speciality is innovation that we've created called limesite. And limesite is a high-performance cementitious material. The point of us, I think, from the beginning was to create this innovation where concrete can be used seamlessly into an interior design space. It existed, obviously, but it was very rugged and it needed some finesse and some design added to it. So that was our mission from the beginning. We didn't set out to be innovators. However, we found that, through the development of the product, it needed to be an innovation. And so our philosophy is really about creating products that fit a gap in the market and create, beautiful, aesthetic, concrete-looking products for interiors.
So a glazed home decor really seeks to honor design in its purest form. We live such diverse lives. We're such a multi-dimensional people. And when you come home, you want to come home to a place that's serene, that's peaceful, that really just is a good reflection of what you want home to look and feel like. And that's essentially what we're all about, simplicity and really honoring design, shapes.
And I think, especially for the younger designers out there, like, what you guys have said so far, you started, kind of went into this, you saw, you couldn't find something that you were looking for. It was like, there was that gap in the market. And I think it's safe to say that each of you have done something like very unique. You kind of approach the industry, you're bringing in the shapes that you're not seeing, the materials that you're not seeing, the lifestyle that you're looking for. What for you was that like aha moment when you were like, this is it, like we've nailed it, like this is what we want to go with. And from that, I think it's like a two-part question. From that, how did you kind of roll it out from a more technical business side? Because we can all be creative and it's great, but at the end of the day, you also need to have you have different caps that you wear, so you need to also be like business savvy. So those two things, like how did you balance them and do that?
I think for us it was I'm a millennial, and the millennial home is changing in South Africa. It's not necessarily always reflected, and us as a people, as a culture, it's not always reflected in bright colors and all of that. So that's what we wanted to honor, the new millennial home, the new South African millennial home, and that's seeking pieces that are available in the international space, not necessarily here. So that's what we wanted to answer. And yeah, we feel as though we've been able to do that with our furniture. What was your second question?
Oh, and then like the business rollout.
So for me, the business rollout for us has just been compartmentalizing everything. I think last year was a significant realization that the business and the way that it's done is going to have to change. And so really targeting the internet as a main platform has been our main operative, and yeah, starting there and then carrying on with manufacturing from there.
And I imagine for you guys as well, like the last year must have completely changed just the way you approach business as well.
Absolutely. The last year was a great change. But to your last question, you know, you want space to tell somebody's character. So the one thing about last year that made this type of business grow big is because most people were spending more time in their homes. So it was a great opportunity for us because we were able to bring their space to tell a story about themselves and to enjoy being in their homes, in their spaces. So I felt, as bad as it was, it was good for our market. It was really good for our market.
Well, for Voltberg, it was interesting because we're a manufacturing business, and manufacturing in South Africa is quite an expensive deal. And so, you know, not having an income meant we needed to be creative in how do we keep this business open and keep our staff employed and still be able to have the stamina to continue when things come back to normal. But we used that time very, I think, beautifully as a team. We used the time to develop our innovation even further. Because it was quieter and we could sit at home and really think about, okay, what are the things that we're doing that's working, what's not working, how do we improve? And we've made leaps and bounds in the development of our sealer for our products. And we also, I think, got to understand that, you know, our place in the social media environment is it's an interesting space, and people look forward to seeing what we have to offer. And so we needed to take that a little bit more seriously and offer our audience more information, right? So it was interesting for me from that perspective, but also very scary because we're still an SME, you know, we're not a big business. We don't have like a marketing department. Literally, Riandu, Graham, and I, what you see, it's from the three of us, you know, together. But then 3 is still more than what you guys have because you're alone. And I think that's what makes Voltberg special as well, is like, to go back to your original question, like originally the 3 of us started off with this idea to create concrete, like I said, for interior spaces, for kitchen countertops mainly, okay? And then we realized it's not as easy as we thought it would be. It's not as simple as just doing a cast of concrete and putting it in your kitchen. And then it became about solving problems, and really that's the way we've approached design since then. It's like, okay, there's a problem in the market, how do we solve that problem for interior designers, basically? And I think what made us work is our skill sets being different from each other and putting it together. So Riandu is R&D, and Graham is design and engineering, and then I lead the sales and marketing side of the business. And that became very important to the success of Voltberg, because taking an innovation to the market is not an easy thing to do. It required a lot of hard work, a lot of convincing and figuring out, you know, who your tribe is, because it's not going to just be everybody. Scary because there's no backing financially, because it's hard to get financial backing for an innovation. How do you explain an innovation to people? Like, you know, how do you explain to somebody this has not been done before, but it's going to work?
Yeah, you're doing something no one else has done. But
exactly.
Like, just trust me, it's gonna
work. Yeah, trust me with my millions, like, you know. So it's been quite a journey, but yes, that's a story, like a long story.
But I think that topic of trust is really interesting. I think especially within the design community that you guys are all working in, like, have you found there's a great sense of community within, you know, designers supporting each other? Because, you know, you guys are, you know, some designers are designing furniture pieces, some designers are designing, you know, working with materials, and designing finishes. And it's a small industry that we have, and it does rely on that sort of sense of community and support. So yeah, I suppose the question is like, what do you think we as a design community are doing right? But at the same time, what can we do to better support each other as well and grow that community? Because support is limited. And I think a lot of people don't understand the design community, perhaps as well as they understand, you know, the fashion industry or other industries that maybe get more airtime.
Correct. I think in that sense, I think the power of relationships is important in anything, business, family, anything. So, and I think the one thing that we all need to understand is, as much as it is a small industry, the pie is big.
Yeah.
Because I could get a client that could want something from me that I don't have, and hook Lays up and hook you up, and that's how we collaborate. So relationship is everything in this industry, in this world actually. So there's always room for collaboration and not closing one out, you know?
I also think as long as you have, you're wanting to learn from each and every person that you interact with, that support will be there. As long as you meet the next designer and you say to yourself, okay, there's something that I may not necessarily be that great at, that I can learn from you.
Yeah.
That's it doesn't approach the next person or the next company or whatever. You're not competition, but rather you're learning from each other in a space that is shared. Yeah.
For us at Voltberg, at the very core of who we are is collaborators. I mean, we had to be because we're taking an innovation to the market, and that meant we needed to find the early adopters. And in the design industry, early adopters for us was interior designers and architects. We needed to collaborate with them in a great sense, like a very intimate sense, you know. It's not like you're just going to them with a finished product and saying, buy this for your beautiful interior. It was like you needed them to understand what your mission is, and they needed to buy into you and who you are, and you build that relationship that is, I mean, valuable, like beyond financial value, right? And those relationships have just stuck with us, and it keeps continuing to grow. And beyond even South Africa, that relationship, it's like, you know, you have your tribe, and it doesn't matter where they are in the world, they will find you, you know? And it's like, okay, so if we're collaborating and we're friends, then she would tell her friend and her colleague.
Absolutely.
And then it's that community that just grows, and networking that happens organically, which is so amazing. For me, I feel like, I feel like this great sense of kinship with all of my design colleagues, like extremely. Everybody here at this show as well. It's like when you meet them and you talk to them, it's like you're speaking to your friend.
Like a language altogether, one language
Exactly.
altogether, I get you.
We get each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's great what Voltberg does as well is your product is so adaptable.
Yes.
So, you know, you'll go to Limpy, you'll go to Cindy, and you'll be like, you know, this is the project you've got, this is what we do. And
Exactly.
then everything you do is different every time, and every project that then sort of, by default, because of that, you know, what you guys are doing is different, and it's growing and it's progressing. This could be quite a contentious question, but it's something and you know, I've discussed this with a lot of designers, and they always say 100% that's so true. And as you know, like our goal with the design showcase from a house and garden side was we want to bring designers to the people. We want people to, you know, it needs to be accessible. We want people to understand, you know, there are these incredible brands producing the most premium products in South Africa. And we found that often the South African buyer will have no problem spending a fortune with a French brand. But then it comes to spending with a South African brand, and they go, oh, that's really expensive. Why must I spend so much if it's coming from South Africa? So I think that what I want to do is give you guys the opportunity now to actually say why, you know, what we produce in this country, why it is exactly at that level, if not better, actually, than what you're getting from somebody who's importing from Paris, somebody who's importing from Shanghai or whatever. What is it about the production process and the design process in this country that puts us like leaps and bounds ahead of what's happening internationally?
You know, I already know that we are competing against all these people, so the craftsmanship has to be top notch. You know, already when a product comes from overseas, already 90% of it is sold to the people because of where it comes from. So with us, from the process of production, it goes through so much because, you know, the standards for you are so high.
Yeah.
And everybody's just watching.
They're watching you.
Exactly. So it's that. And also, you want to give, like, you know, they say if you give somebody an experience and they don't forget.
Yeah.
So that's what you always aim for, to give them that experience, because once you give somebody the experience, the marketing kind of does itself. You know, they speak about you, they tell their friends about you. So
Because they remember the experience.
exactly. So I think one thing that we've done at Timeless Opulence is just like give people an experience. It's actually one of our selling points because it just sells for us. So when they have to go and buy stuff that's coming from overseas, they remember us like, but yes, we're gonna get it imported, but that experience that they gave us is unforgettable.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think for us, that hits home pretty hard, right? Because if you think about it, we're producing a product that is quite commercialized in that it's tiles, for example. I'm going to talk about tiles because it is the part of our business that creates the most employment, and it is probably a more easily understood part of our product catalog. And if you think about who we're competing with Italy mainly, okay? And we're competing with local manufacturers who mass produce ceramic tiles. And the struggle becomes convincing people that it is okay to support a local manufacturer.
Which is crazy. Like,
exactly.
You should be like,
That's literally what we have to do. We have to fight 10 times harder to convince people that our manufacturing processes are just as good, if not better, than the manufacturer in Italy. And then you compare to age-old products like Zelige, right, which is like a culture almost.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, when we when we started doing tiles, it was about also bridging that gap between a ceramic tile and Zelige, right? The price difference is vast.
Yeah.
And as designers, as industrial designers, our mission was to hit that sweet spot. Okay, how do we bring this closer to that and hit that beautiful sweet spot in the middle where people can get that esteemed, beautiful opulence that they get with Zelige at a better price point? And it wasn't easy, but I found that if you get the message across in the right way to the right people, it spreads, like you said.
Absolutely.
The marketing does itself.
That's where social media comes in.
Social media is very important, guys.
Yeah.
So important.
I think for Glaze Home, craftsmanship is at the core of our business, especially because we adapt such a simplified perspective on design, and so really the quality of what we deliver has to be at its
Because you see
top
it.
notch.
You see it
Because
straight
you see
away.
it. It's not camouflaged.
Yeah.
It's right in front of you, and so that's always what we try to communicate. And that's why we're so thankful for opportunities like this, where people are able to see the furniture, touch it, see the quality, and really see that we are delivering a product that is of its highest level, that can be compared, and maybe even better, probably is better,
It definitely
than international companies that people may naturally go towards with regards to design.
And also, I mean, in a way, and what all three of you do in a different way, it really does touch on a South African experience. You know, whatever it is that is you, because you know, being South African isn't monolithic. It's not just one idea, one people. I mean, we're famously a rainbow nation. So I think that's a really sort of important aspect as well. Which, like I said, I think you guys do so phenomenally. Is you tell South African stories. You tell, it's a narrative that is sort of indigenous to us. It's our story, which in a way kind of always blows my mind that people should grab it. It's almost like people are scared of it. They're like embrace what it is to be South African and for us to have these stories and these cultures.
I think you're right. Like for me, from the marketing side of Voltberg, I realized I needed to make people comfortable with the brand.
Yeah.
And therefore, like from the beginning, I knew our success will lie in the brand development first. Because I needed the audience to understand who we are, to buy into who we are as a team. And literally, that's what happened. It's like when we took our product to the market, it was like we were taking ourselves to the market, and people bought into our idea. And then they start to trust you. And even when they know things are not perfect because you're in a development phase, the trust is there. And then you grow.
True.
I think also so this has been the power of social media, especially for us. Is before we even launched the company, we were always not selling the narrative, but rather communicating the narrative of our love for design. last year, so many people were faced with their own spaces and realizing I really need to invest in this, and then finding other people on the internet who shared that was really beautiful. And because of that, because we had already found our tribe to begin with before we even launched, it was just a beautiful natural transmission.
Yeah, it's crazy how last year it almost like galvanized everyone in a sense. This idea of home and the way it changed. And I think I know personally, I looked at my house.
I loved it.
You know, you went from like a place where you'd go and you drop your stuff and you pass through it, where now you're stuck here and you kind of look at it and go, I need to fix that. I need to fix that. Like,
I need to make the space very comfortable for myself. I need to love the space.
Yeah, exactly, and it needs to be functional.
Absolutely.
Because I think before we wasted a lot of space.
We did. I think also because now work had to be at home as well. Creating that space where it's not only living space, but a workspace as well. Possibly a space where you may potentially need to have clients come as well.
Yeah.
So
it needed to be very practical and functional.
So coming out of that, what do you guys think are going to be, when eventually we go back and maybe work from home isn't what it is now? Do you think there are going to be things, I don't want to call them trends, but like almost like home ideologies that we're going to hold on to, like things that'll actually stick?
I don't believe that we are going to go back to the way that things were. I think it's about time that we accept that this is the new normal and go with it. And I think that it's just more than anything, it's people realizing the importance of investing in your home and a home reflecting what you regard as a safe space and a comfortable space. So more than anything, it's just investing, people realizing the importance of investing in that space.
It comes back to experience.
Experience and making it multifunctional. It also saves you time. You don't need to go to an office where you can make your home, saves you the makeup and the drive.
It's crazy, like all the time you wasted there sitting in traffic.
Exactly. Whereas you could have used that time to do something else, prepare for the meeting. So your home can be multifunctional and still be a place that reflects who you are.
It's beautiful. Just beautiful and functional are not mutually exclusive.
Absolutely.
I think you guys know that better than anyone.
Absolutely, better than anyone. It's been very interesting to see how lockdown influenced the residential market for us, where we didn't focus on the homeowner previously. The homeowner became much more interested in their interior spaces, and they found us, online, and then I could literally see the interest, the change from the homeowner not caring about their spaces too much. It's like, okay, socializing outdoors was mainly what we focused on, and then it changed to like, how do I make my bathroom a sanctuary as opposed to just a bathroom? How do I make my kitchen a space where I cook and have a live Instagram? What makes my kitchen look beautiful for that live, And that was so cool because for the first time, when lockdown was over, we actually had a lot of residential clients come to us seeking advice, saying, no, I'm doing my kitchen, I want to achieve this. So it was really nice to see that shift because they care about what it looks like now. And it's not about just going to some commercial space and choosing a set, a staged set. It's like they want to curate their spaces.
True.
They want to say, I want this custom piece of furniture. I want that custom tile on my wall. And that's been awesome.
Individuality, we've seen that. Just in the houses that we've been featuring in the magazine, there's become a much stronger connection to wanting something individual and more so wanting a connection to something human.
Yeah.
You want to know the person who runs the brand, who's behind the brand. Exactly that. Like, it's become as important. You don't want something mass-produced from a nameless entity. So I think before we open the floor to questions, from your guys' perspective, what are you most excited about, personally for your brands and perhaps just in general for design?
Glaze.
So it's a broad question.
We're just excited for growth.
Yeah.
We're new in the interior design space, in the furniture design space, and so more than anything, we're just excited for growth, to collaborate with more designers, taking on more projects, personal projects as well. Yeah, that's mostly what we're most excited about.
I think for me, it's, again, I'll bring it to giving people that experience. You know, there's nothing that is more satisfying than getting the client right.
Yeah.
Where the space reflects who they are.
You can
That
see
is
them,
just
like,
it's so satisfying. So we hope to see more of that and growth again. Yeah.
For us, 2020 was supposed to be, well, it was a huge milestone for Voltberg. We were 5 years old in 2020. And we had big plans. We were supposed to go.
I love us.
For the first time, for the first time, we were going to take our product to the export market, like on a platform like an exhibition. We were going to be at Milan, right? And that was very exciting because prior to that, I thought, okay, that's the only way I'm going to reach that export market, is to be there for people to see, touch, and feel, right? And that was exciting for us. Obviously, it didn't happen, so we had to pivot and change our plans. And I found that, wow, like COVID allowed the international market to even find us and for us to find them.
Nice.
So we didn't really need to do that. However, I would still love to do that. So it's still something I'm excited about for Voltberg, is to actually go and exhibit overseas and also continue with the collaborations that we have with international designers and artists. We want to strengthen our persona as collaborators on an international scale, because that is really what I feel we do best, is that we help designers, interior designers and architects bring their visions to reality. So we don't just work with line sites, we're a multidisciplinary studio. So I'm excited about that, but I'm also excited about a couple of new product launches that we're going to be having. And we're looking at the UAE market for beautiful high-end facade tile made out of semi-precious metals, and you'll see it on our display. So the Adorn range is semi-precious metal clad tiles, and it started off as accessories for the interior environment, and we're just going to explode that into external facades. So that's
like it's on brand for both of you as well. That sounds like something you'd love.
Right.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for me personally for being here today, but also just for really flying that flag for SA Design like so high. We wouldn't have the magazine we have today if it wasn't for the work that you guys do. So yeah, I'm really, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to open the floor. Are there any questions from anybody? Got one question.
Hello.
The creative space evolves quite rapidly. How do you balance between giving a client the experience that's modern, but also great value for money, so that not every year they have to change the space to keep up with trends? Yeah?
I think the name of my company kind of explains that very well. We are called Timeless Opulence for one reason and that reason only, so that it's not mainly to follow trends, but to give you something that's timeless, that goes beyond time and age and trends and all of that. So yeah, actually that's how we came up with the name Timeless Opulence.
Well, for Voltberg, as a part of our design ethos, it is to create products that age gracefully and that can stay a part of buildings and interiors and grow organically into that space. So when you look at the semi-precious metal clad tiles that we've developed, we considered the fact that when you purchase that tile, it's a glossy, beautiful, shiny piece of jewelry for your wall or floor. But we also considered how that tile will age with time, and we accepted that in that space, the way it would age, it would always fit in there. So it's not something that's going to go out of fashion. Even as it ages and tarnishes, it will age and tarnish in a different way and still be true to that space. We always consider that when it comes to product design.
For glaze, it's all about simplified elegance, and simplified elegance that is timeless in its essence. And so really every single piece that we create, it's because we wanted to work with not only your aesthetic, but because we understand, but because also we understand that people change, we evolve, you grow, and we want those pieces, we want you to be able to grow and evolve with those pieces. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions?
I loved all of your responses. So it's like a peek into your brain, which obviously the magazine is, which is beautiful. So thank you for giving us three-dimensional people to talk to. I wanted to ask how you recharge your creative batteries in this isolation. Where do you go? Inside your head or inside your home, or just in what's accessible to recharge and come up with new ideas? Thank you.
So when it comes to recharging my creativity, essentially, it's I've always loved research in every single field. I'm obsessed with research, and so it may seem like work to other people, but for me, I find it really interesting, and that's what really revives me. Whatever it is that I'm interested, whether it may be fabrics, whether it may be shapes of new custom pieces that I want to get into, but it's just like researching and wanting to know as much as possible in the field that I'm in, because I want to be the master of the field that I'm in.
I think also it's like that millennial thing in us. It's the same for me. I would find inspiration on the internet, and I would do a lot of research into other designers, not necessarily only industrial design. I would look into graphic design, I'd look into fashion, I'd look into architecture. Every designer and craftsman is inspirational, and we find inspiration in all of those areas, not necessarily just product design. So we'd look at SpaceX, for example, and be inspired by the bold, their boldness, and say, okay, well, if they could do that, then we can do it. And then when you're at home and you've got nothing else distracting you, yes, you're in your mind, and then you can find, that strength to say, I can do this, because there's no other voices around you saying you can't do it. I think that's what happens to us.
Well, for me, it's silence, 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 silence. I feel like silence has like all the answers, because in my silence, I'll find something, an inspiration, get some creation. For me, it's always been silence. It's very weird, but I think that's where all my answers are, or all my creative ideas lie. And obviously, there's inspiration around us. So yeah, it's that.
Thank you.
Design doesn't take a day off.
No.
Are there any more questions?
I haven't really formulated this question fully in my head, so I might ramble a bit. But in terms of trends on the continent and abroad, like from your perspectives, are we going towards ready-to-wear vibes? Or is this customized sort of quality, beautifully made pieces the direction in which the continent is headed? Like, where do we stand, do you reckon?
I reckon we're definitely going towards the more customized pieces, or rather design interior, just because we are wanting more and more it's not about trends anymore. We want to find more meaning in life and more meaning in different ways. And so in interior, that's making things custom to you and your family and your home. And so that's definitely us wanting to go more custom, but also because we just find more value in not only fabrics but raw materials as well, and we want to incorporate that into our homes, and the ready-made things don't have that. And so I think that's why people are going more towards custom, because you want to incorporate all these different things that you love and all these different things that represent who you are and what you believe in into your homes.
I think I agree with you, because even now, like, the spaces are getting smaller and smaller. So you would say you want a couch and it doesn't fit in your space. So I think it's going more into personalized and functional. So yeah.
So if I may just say, like, the whole problem with the ready-made, products, I believe it just supports that throwaway culture, and trends support that throwaway culture. And as manufacturers, as I said, our mission is to make products last, so that we can have a sustainable environment. And it's so hard to bring this conversation to the forefront because people don't understand how important it is for us as manufacturers to be sustainable. And then also, like, you know, okay, it's fine, we're saying don't support throwaway culture and buy ready-made stuff, support the artisan that creates bespoke pieces, but then there's also the factor of value and price that needs to be considered. And I believe that that's something that can only get better if people start supporting us more, because it's economies of scale. You know, the bigger our production facilities grow, the more affordable things can become. And I believe that, and then being the resident loudmouth, I'm going to say it, it has to start with bigger industries. It has to start with developers and local retailers. They have to be the ones to support the local manufacturers. Because if they don't, then they're just supporting that throwaway culture. And it has to start with them.
I think and I'm so glad you brought up sustainability, because I think it's a word that a lot of people just kind of throw around, and it doesn't, I think it's lost a lot of meaning, where, you know, is it, or it's been given one meaning, which is just your carbon footprint is X. But sustainability is, you know, are you working with communities to you know, to produce your product? Because by doing that, you're creating, you know, communities that can sustain themselves. That you're keeping craft alive and craftsmanship alive, which is so vital.
Money back into our economy.
Exactly. Yeah, you're actually sustaining the economy. So I think there's a lot of levels to sustainability, and I think that sort of fast fashion idea undermines that entirely. And I think in a way you can see it even. I mean, like, half the fashion weeks in the world have been done away with. And I don't know if it's Prada or I can't remember Gucci, who now they don't even do seasonal collections anymore. They do collections that are based on something that they feel will last longer. And I think design has always been very good at that in the home sector and interiors, because you live with this and it's in your home. So I think it's important to maintain sort of something that has that longevity. Rather than just be consumable.
I think also with age, with age, you want to invest more in your home, and you want, if you have this is a personal thing of mine, you have visitors and you have artwork, you want to be able to say, oh, this is by whoever, and this is by whoever, and I got this item when I was traveling to this place, or when I met this individual. Everything you wanted to tell a story, and that's why you want to be able to invest in it.
I love the telling a story, like handcrafted was made for me. You know, the story that's behind that, the amount of people that it's feeding. There's just so much, as you're mentioning. There's so much behind this chair. You know, there's a lot of people behind it. So it's that as well, the pride that it brings.
Yeah, we always say at House of Garden that, like, your home is your autobiography, because it's filled with, you know, it shows where you come from, it shows where you want to go. It's your experiences, it's your memories. So more than anything else, like, you know, when you step inside someone's home, you want to immediately kind of know who they are, know what they're about. And it's, I think, with custom, to come back to what you're asking, I think you can really express who you are and what your story is through that.
And sorry, if I may just say again, because you asked, do we find this happening through the continent? I've found that slowly but surely, a lot of leaders in design are embracing that bespoke element of local manufacturers and designers. So for me, that's been very important about the growth of Volkberg, is that they've bought into that idea. And you know, trying to meet them at a price point where to make this possible is what has driven us, really. So yes, it's happening. It's happening slowly, but it's definitely happening.
And I think us as designers now are very unapologetic about who we are now. Like, we're taking Africa to the world.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to see that in the colors that we use. We're bold as Africans. So it's, I'm seeing a lot of that. And it's great. We are unapologetic, as much as we're still trying to compete, but we are unapologetic.
Indeed.
Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for coming today. And again, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.